was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
We got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.
What's up, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with the Touchdowns live show. We got a loaded Thursday before National Championship, or NATTY, Monday. And I'm not sure how long this show is going to be, but we have a couple of things that we do want to discuss tonight. Mayhem, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So, looking at all the sports news, obviously we got the national championship Monday. We'll talk about our predictions later on in the show tonight. But what do you say we go ahead and start out? We could go a couple different directions here, but I think I want to cover this Colin Hurley incident or accident, really. They have a article that was posted 4 hours ago, LSU Tigers on Sports Illustrated, from Zach Nagy. And he says LSU freshman quarterback Colin Hurley remains hospitalized following an on-campus car accident that occurred around 2:45 a.m. Central Time on Thursday, according to WBRZ news station. Hurley, who just wrapped up his true freshman campaign for the Tigers after taking a redshirt year, was found unresponsive. WBRZ reports that Hurley's Dodge Charger crashed into a tree at South Quad Drive and Highland Road near the south gates of LSU's campus. He was unresponsive but breathing. According to the initial report, he is currently in Our Lady of the Lake Health Hospital undergoing further testing, and it goes on. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are out to him and his family. Hate to start the show off with this, but just kind of give me your thoughts on this, Mayhem. Obviously, not a whole lot of details, but this really sucks to have happen, but especially at a young age. I mean, he's like 20, 21 years old and in college, just really all we can do is pray and hope the good Lord, does what he wants to do.
Yeah, so the family put out a statement, and it said, Colin would like to thank the first responders, the incredible doctors and nurses at Our Lady of the Lake Health, and many Tiger fans for their care and compassion. The statement reads, Colin is resting and is stable while more tests and care are being administered. We are confident that Colin will make a full recovery from this terrible accident. Go Tigers. So my thoughts are, prayers to the Colin Hurley family. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery. It looks like from reading this article that he is going to be okay. And it looks like he will soon be able to make a full recovery. So, I'm just hoping that he can recover from this and still be able to pursue his dreams of possibly having a football career in his future. So, thoughts and prayers go out to LSU's quarterback Colin Hurley's family, and I wish him the best.
Yeah, and it's an interesting situation at LSU with the quarterback room. They have a transfer or two coming in. Obviously, redshirt senior Garrett Nussmeier returns, and he will, most likely lead the way in the quarterback room for LSU. And then Colin Hurley, redshirt freshman who we're talking about tonight, he is supposedly the backup quarterback. Like, he's the go-to guy if something happens to Nuss. And you just hate to see this, whether you're a starter or not. I mean, it's a sad situation that happened over the weekend, and just everything that's gone on this week for LSU, and our thoughts and prayers are with Hurley and his family and friends.
For sure. So, thoughts and prayers, like I said, go out to the family. And from the update that we received not too long ago, that he's going to be okay and he's going to hopefully make a full recovery. So, all you can really do if you're a fan of his, or if you're, just a fan of, being respectful and nice, all you can really do is give your thoughts and your prayers to the family and to him, and hope for the best and hope for a speedy recovery.
For sure. Let's kind of lighten up the show a little bit, though, Mayhem. What a couple different things we could talk about tonight. Where do you want to go next as far as these topics?
So let's go ahead and get this one out the way. Texas A&M wide receiver Micah Hudson steps away from the football team, and I'm reading this from On3. On December 15th, former Texas Tech wide receiver Micah Hudson committed to Texas A&M via the transfer portal. Now, just over a month since joining the Aggies, Hudson is temporarily stepping away from day-to-day football activities, per On3's Pete Nakos. Hudson only spent one season at Texas Tech. He made 8 appearances and finished the 2024 campaign with 8 catches for 123 yards. Also, Hudson's statistics don't jump off the page. He has immense potential. Hudson played high school football at Lake Belton, where he was a 5-star prospect. He was the number 12 overall player, number 4 wide receiver in the 2024 recruiting cycle, according to the On3 industry rankings, a weighted average that utilizes all 4 major recruiting media companies. Coming out of high school, Hudson chose Texas Tech over other powerhouse programs such as Texas and Ohio State. Hudson was the number 7 and the number 4 wide receiver to enter the transfer portal this season, according to On3. He's far from the only addition from Texas A&M has made this offseason. The Aggies have also added standout wide receivers such as NC State's Kevin Concepcion and Mississippi State's Mario Craver. Let's see. So Mike Elko has a quote here. He said, "I think we learn how to become accountable. I think we learn how to care for each other. I think we learn how to practice hard. I think we learn what work ethic looks like. None of those things existed in this program when I got here. None, not one of them." He goes on to say, "We had kids on the football team, not at the bowl game last year. That's where we were when I took over. That's what we didn't do, was get enough at football. And that was ultimately my responsibility. So we're fundamentally not good enough. We are not just good enough right now. So the challenge is when we get back here in January, everything has to be turned up. With any luck, Micah Hudson will return to the team sooner rather than later. After all, Elko seemingly has big plans for his second season as Texas A&M's head coach." So, I want to ask you, Ballard, what is kind of your thoughts on Micah Hudson stepping away from the football team, and what do you think it could be? Just could it be mental health? Could it be, maybe he got in trouble? I mean, what are you kind of getting the feeling about this situation?
Well, here's the interesting thing is, like, Um, I don't know. A&M brought in quite a few transfer wide receivers. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of talent. Mario Craver, Jonah Wilson, to name a few different guys. They even are on the lookout for maybe a Penn State wide receiver. I'm not sure who it is. I forget exactly, but um, what what's crazy is Micah Hudson. He was at Texas Tech with the Red Raiders, and he came in, and there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of thought of him being wide receiver number 1, and he's really, really fast, he's talented, and they thought the same thing about him coming in this year in 2025 for Texas A&M, and so it's really interesting. Many reports say that Hudson is temporarily stepping away from day-to-day activities. Um, but at the same time, like, there's no like, Texas A&M has come out and said that, we welcome him back with open arms if he decides to stay put. So, they also added transfers Casey Conception. I don't know how you say his last name, and then Mississippi State's Mario Craver. So they've added some other transfers, plus what they've been recruiting the last couple of years. Obviously, their recruiting has been pretty good under Jimbo, and obviously Mike Elko doing a really fantastic job so far. So they got the depth, they got the talent. Outside of maybe what Mike Elko or anyone at Texas A&M has said, the only thing I can think of in this type of situation, Mayhem, is you just don't see a talent like this step away, like, just because. There's something going on behind closed doors that maybe we don't know about. Maybe he was told something or heard something. Maybe something came up. Something was said. Or does he just not feel at home? I mean, I don't know, but, you don't just up and decide, "Oh, I think I'm gonna transfer away again." I just There's obviously a reason that's not being put out there.
Yeah, so from what I've been reading, from what I've been reading while you were talking and doing some research here, this seems like mental health related concerns. It doesn't seem like he's going to miss any games or he's going to miss football playtime or anything. It's just he probably has some family related issues or just mental health issues to himself. Something is going on in his personal life that I feel like he is stepping away from football currently to straighten out his um, his mental health and his family concerns, and that's what it kind of sound like to me. I don't think this has anything to do with, like you said, wanting to transfer again, or I don't think he doesn't. I feel like he wants to be at Texas A&M, and he does not want to transfer again. He just got to Texas A&M like a few like a month ago or so maybe, but yeah, man, you know, uh, you know, prayers go out to Micah Hudson as well. I know we talked about the car crash and everything, but mental health also matters, and prayers go out to Micah Hudson for whatever he's having to step away from football. This is just temporarily, like it said, and he's going to be back, and hopefully he comes back better than ever.
And you see this happening more often these days too in college football where guys will transfer in, and obviously there's going to be guys that transfer because of the NIL and everything like that nowadays, but you do see guys that don't transfer for the money. They transfer because it could be some mental health type stuff. So obviously for Micah Hudson, like, man, we help you figure it all out, bro, and we're wishing you the best.
For sure. So I want to go ahead and talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Deion Primetime Sanders. The headlines are he has a legit chance of coaching the Cowboys, but under specific conditions. Super Bowl champ said. I'm getting this from Fox News. Deion Sanders seems to shoo away from any chatter of him coaching the Dallas Cowboys, but one of his former teammates is not buying it just yet. The Pro Bowl Hall of Famer, who is currently coaching at the University of Colorado, all but confirmed reports that he and Jerry Jones had a dialogue about the open position in Dallas. Deion Sanders told ESPN, the opportunity is, and I quote, intriguing, but I love Boulder, and everything there is about our team, the coaches, and our student body and the community. However, Sanders' former teammate Daryl Johnston said the chances of him heading to the Lone Star State are legit. It's not easy as it sounds, considering Sanders said last week that he would only consider coaching in the NFL if he were to team up with his sons. I got a quote here. I think if Deion Sanders is going to come here because he seems to have his plan in place. He would love to coach his son Shador in the NFL. I don't know if that happens in Dallas. Johnson told Outkick's Hot Mic. It's going to take a lot of different things to happen. So, and it goes on to say more stuff about the former teammate there. But the gist of this story is that Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys is really heating up. And I have a lot to talk about specifically on this topic, Ballard. And I got a few things to say, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. I have a couple of questions for you. So let's just say he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. And we all know how Jerry Jones is and how he operates the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen that Jerry Jones wants to be in control of the football team, and he wants to be in control of anything to do with the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't know if that's going to work or set well with prime time Deion Sanders, because Deion Sanders also wants to take control of his football team, and he wants to do it his way. It's either his way or the highway type of deal. And I feel like both of these guys, the owner Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders, both have the same mindset in that they want to take charge of this football team, and only one guy's going to win. And Jerry Jones is the owner, and we've seen this movie before. He hires a head coach. Head coach really can't have any control over his football team because Jerry Jones always has his hand in the cookie jar. And so to me, if you are Deion Sanders, and from what Deion Sanders said, that it's intriguing, and Deion Sanders said that he's had conversations with Jerry Jones and it was intriguing. So I don't know how them conversations went. I wasn't there, obviously. But, I mean, if Jerry Jones is going to finally, let Deion Sanders take control over this team, then that'll be a great thing, a great opportunity for Deion Sanders to coach in the pros and ultimately have some success in the pros. We've seen what he did in Colorado. He turned a terrible program into a 10-win team this year. So what he's doing in Colorado has exceeded everybody's expectations. Okay. Everybody thought that he was going to be a failure of a coach because of what he did the past year, where he only won like 4 games. He comes into the Big 12, and he was pretty much in that Big 12 title conversation all the way into like the final weeks, where he lost one more game and ultimately did not make the Big 12 title. But there's also some concerns I have with Deion Sanders possibly going to the Cowboys. And my concerns are, if it does not work in Dallas, where does he go from there? Does he just ride off into the sunset and don't coach anymore and just, live his life as the legend that he is, one of the best athletes in football, period? Does he just ride off into the sunset and say, you know what? Well, it just didn't work out for me. I made my money, and just leave it alone? Or will he be welcomed back into the college football world? That's my biggest question. Will Deion Sanders be, if this does not work out? Now, this is not official, by the way. Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys is not official, but let's just say hypothetically that he does go to the Cowboys. How does that impact him if it does not work out in the Cowboys? How does that impact him possibly trying to find a way back to college, or does he get another opportunity in the pros somewhere else? It's a big question mark, right? And what he has at Colorado, he's got Juju Lewis coming, uh, a top quarterback in this year's class. He's got him coming. He's got another transfer portal guy from Liberty, I believe. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's got some great quarterbacks coming in. He's got some ballers coming in for Colorado. He's going to retain some people as well. He's also going to lose his sons, and he's going to lose the Heisman winner Travis Hunter. But he's got some dudes. He does. He's got a great team coming in for this year. We still have a long ways before we know exactly what he has, but so far it's looking really good for Colorado and Deion Sanders. So will he leave an opportunity like he has going forward with Colorado for Dallas Cowboys in hopes that it all works out? Or will he stay with Colorado because he doesn't know if it's going to work out? I want to know your thoughts on all this, because it is intriguing to me that, Deion Sanders has a big decision to make. And like I said, I don't know if Jerry Jones has offered him the position or not. This could be, I've seen some stuff online saying that this could be Deion Sanders' strategy of trying to get more money in Boulder, or this could just be a bunch of smoke. But where I'm from, if there's smoke, there's usually fire. So I want to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think obviously, like, Dion wants to be a head coach. And the thing that I hear everybody say nowadays, at least when it comes to Dion, is he's gonna go where his sons go, and he's just gonna be Daddy Dion following his kids around.
Okay, cool. He's gonna go where Shiloh or Shador or where's Travis gonna go or whoever, right? I don't know, Mayhem. Do you really think he's a guy after the big bucks? Like, obviously, he's got a pretty good sized contract now at Colorado, and God only knows what Jerry Jones is trying to cook up for him in Dallas. But I, part of me wants to believe and kind of views Dion as a guy that's not after so much the money, but really is after coaching up the kids and just giving them a future in football and treating them right and helping them learn life skills. I want to believe that's who Deion Sanders really is, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, maybe there's something we don't know about. But um, could he go to Dallas? Sure, but why do I get the gut feeling from my perspective that Deion's building a culture in Colorado that he wants to continue?
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling too. The only problem that I run into is there's a lot of guys that are close to primetime Deion Sanders. There's a lot of people that are close to him, former players, people that has played football with him. You got Shannon Sharp, you got Chad Ochocinco, you got Johnston, you got a bunch of guys coming out of coming out to the media saying if he's offered this Cowboys job, he's 100% gone to the Cowboys. Like this is the job for him, and he's going to take it no matter what. And I've read online that some people don't really buy into the well, Deion Sanders wants to build something in Boulder, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really close to prime time. Obviously, he's famous, and I'm just over here with a small YouTube channel. But I would like to believe the same thing you want to believe. I'd like to believe that he wants to build something great in Boulder, and I am of the belief that do I think he's going to stay in Boulder forever? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. I think if Florida State were to have another bad year and they fired their head coach, I would come on here and bet any amount of money that he's headed to Florida State. I would say that because I want to believe that Deion Sanders is a college coach. That's what I would like to believe. You know what I mean? I don't know if he would mesh well in the NFL, and especially like I said with Jerry Jones. I know.
I don't think he's about the money market with trades and trying to draft a team. I think he wants to go into homes. I think he wants to meet a kid's mama. I think he wants to meet these kids and ask them about their grades and stuff. I think he wants to do that. I think he wants to go through the recruiting process. And obviously, he loves the transfer portal. He loves the NIL and everything. At least he's showing he can manage it. If anything, I don't know if he likes it, but why would you leave what you're doing so well at right now? I know that they didn't make the playoffs or the Big 12 title. I understand all that. But if he continues what he's doing at Colorado, in a year or two, hear me out, they are winning the Big 12. I really believe that. I think they're on the cusp of that. I don't know about a national championship, but a Big 12 title, and that would look really good on his resume. I think he wants to win something big in college before he gets out of college. And maybe he does go to the NFL down the road. I don't know, but I just feel like he wants to continue building good college football cultures, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, except for I did hear him say on the podcast before that he does not go into Mama's house and and try to recruit them that way. You know, he is of the belief that he is prime time, and everybody knows who prime time is. You want to come play for prime time, you come play from prime time, and that's why he said, "I ain't hard to find." That's where he came up with that slogan, "I ain't hard to find." And but everything else, I totally 100% agree with you. I do think that the NFL to me would not be a great fit for Dion. And I do want to ask you this question: I've heard this question in social media being asked, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Is the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job a coveted job? Is it a very important job that you say, if I ever get hired, if I ever get a chance to coach here, I'm going to quit everything I'm doing and go coach the Dallas Cowboys? Is it a is the Dallas Cowboys job still a highly coveted job?
I think it is, but I think that there's people out there almost afraid to take it because it is. Like, you would love to have that job, right? It's almost like this. It's like, well, I'm gonna be honest. I can't think of an analogy or anything, but it's like the job is like, oh, I'd give anything in the world to have the best I could have. But with that comes pressure and a target on your back. You got to be able to handle it. And I'm gonna be honest. I think Dion can handle it. I think he'd love. Honest, look, I know what I just said about him in Colorado, but yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he took the Dallas job. If he ended up going to the Cowboys, it wouldn't surprise me. Why would you not take that? You're freaking prime time Sanders, dude. Why would he not take the biggest job in the NFL outside of maybe New England? And I only say that because of what Bill Belichick was able to do over the years and Tom Brady, but that's a coveted NFL job, dude. I would take it in a heartbeat if I'm someone big name like Dion or whoever, because why not? Yeah, it's been a minute since they won a Super Bowl. It's been a while since they had some consistency. They've had some down years. But historically, man, you go back to the 90s, the 70s, and 80s, like, it's been around for a long, long time. And
Yeah,
the name brand and everything is just so popular, man. Like, why would you not want to be a part of that? But at the same time, you got to have the guts to take it and say that you are worth the job, worth it for the job. You have to have those guts. And it's like you're either gonna sit there and say, "No, that's too big for me," or you're gonna say, "No, job's too big for me, and dang it, I want it."
yeah. So I'll say this, and I don't think the Dallas Cowboys job is as coveted as it once was, and you
Okay.
know, I'm gonna give you my reasoning is because, well, Jimmy Johnson was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys back in the '90s, won back-to-back Super Bowls with them. He also was a college head coach, won several national championships with the Miami Hurricanes and stuff like that. Amazing head coach. Okay, NFL and college did both, and he had a loaded roster at the Hurricanes and a loaded roster for the Dallas Cowboys as well. And Jimmy Johnson was getting all of the credit. He was getting all of this credit for everything that he's built there in Dallas and stuff like that. And Jerry Jones wasn't getting none of the credit. And ultimately, Jerry Jones had enough, and he fired Jimmy Johnson. That is pretty much the reason why Jimmy Johnson was fired, because Jerry Jones did not get the publicity. He did not get the recognition and he didn't have his hand in the cookie jar, like I explained earlier, right? And that's what ultimately led Jimmy Johnson straight out the door of Dallas. And then from then on, Dallas has been mediocre, hasn't had really any success. Made a couple playoff appearances, didn't really do much with them. Okay, first and second round exits, right? And so now you know that Jerry Jones will have his hand a part of this football team in some capacity. And if you're Deion Sanders, are you just going to let him tell you what to do as a head coach, just like all the other head coaches did and had no success? Or are you going to put your foot down and you're going to say, Jerry Jones, you're going to have to be the owner and step back and let me coach this team? And if Primetime was to become the head coach of Dallas Cowboys, if that were to happen, the reality of the situation is there's going to have to be a discussion between Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders, and that discussion has to sound like this. Deion Sanders has to walk up to him and say, this is my team. You hired me as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Let me coach them. You are the owner of this team. You take care of the business side. I'm going to take care of the coaching side. And that is the conversation you're going to have with Jerry Jones if you're Deion Sanders. Because if not, I'm going to make a bold claim, or I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but if that conversation does not happen before he becomes the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, or at some point in time, if that conversation doesn't happen, then I'm afraid that the Deion Sanders, I guess the Deion Sanders at Dallas will not work. It's just not going to work because Deion Sanders is a bigger than life character. He's prime time for a reason. And he's not going to be second fiddle to nobody. And that's including Jerry Jones. So I strongly believe that right now he's got everything he ever wanted in Boulder. He's in charge of that team. The owner is not trying to tell Deion what to do. I mean, remember, he brought his Louis bags with him. He brought, I mean, they do everything that Deion Sanders does at Colorado is being recorded and put it on YouTube and put out to social media. Before Deion got there, Colorado would never do something like that. He is the man that's running Colorado's football team right now. And he has full reign to run it however he so wishes. And I don't know if that will be the same thing heading into if he does go to the Dallas Cowboys. And we're going to move on to the next topic. You talk about Bill Belichick. So let's talk about old Billy Belichick. So here's the report. Bill Belichick contract in North Carolina still unsigned, sparking speculation over buyout. I'm reading this from On3. Amid the backdrop of dozens of coaches around the country interviewing for various open NFL jobs, North Carolina Bill Belichick is currently working without a signed contract, apparently. CBS Sports reports that there is no signed and fully executed contract between Bill Belichick and North Carolina. The significance that apparently leaves an open question as to whether Belichick could wriggle out some terms of the deal, and should an NFL team calling, he'll probably go. Industry sources says that could lead to a legal gray area but how much, if any, of a buyout there would be if Belichick left for the pros? As written in Belichick's term sheet proposal, the former New England Patriots head coach would owe a buyout of $10 million if he left the program before June 1st, 2025. That figure drops down to just $1 million after June 1st, of course, if that's the buyout clause is enforceable. So that tells me right there. That tells me right there, Ballard, that he would owe a buyout of $10 million. That tells me right there that North Carolina Tar Heels, that football program, is worried that Bill Belichick could sneak his way out back to the pros. They're obviously worried because it says that figure would drop down to only $1 million after June 1st. So obviously, North Carolina is very worried about this. Now, Bill Belichick, let me see here real quick. Give me a second. Bill Belichick's wife, I believe. No, girlfriend, sorry. Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, confirms that they are locked in with North Carolina, as she says, two people who are overly committed to UNC football, and she posted a picture with him and her together holding a football with, it looks like a North Carolina logo or something like that. So looks like she came out and said, don't worry about Bill Belichick going back to the pros. He is 100% locked in. I need your thoughts, Ballard, to this. What's your thoughts?
Well, first off, let me say this. Why? I don't know. I was shocked when he took the North Carolina job and that he came to college and everything. But at the same time, he's one of the best to ever do it in the NFL. He's like the Saban of the NFL and everything. And maybe he can manage everything going on today. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But in terms of his contract, the first 3 years are guaranteed $10 million annually, 5-year contract. The bonus is gonna be based on wins, postseason performance, academics, and coaching accolades. So they're expecting him. He's wanting to make a lot of money with UNC, but when you read those terms of like the bonuses and what he has to do to get the bonus, is it me or are they putting too much like on his shoulders to do it, North Carolina? Because come on, I know it's Bill Belichick. I get that. And he's the best. But it's also North Carolina. How far are they from being in a national championship and can Bill Belichick be that year in and year out coach of the year type of deal? Like, can he do that multiple times in North Carolina? It's not a Bill Belichick question. It's a culture and state of the program with North Carolina. What do you think?
So, yeah, I think that Bill Belichick probably does want to dip his toes in the waters of college football and see how he can have some success in the college football world. I think I'm gonna just say it. I think he wants to put his middle finger straight up the NFL's rear end because he probably feels like he was wrongfully let go from the Patriots. Probably, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. He has taken a few shots at the NFL via the Pat McAfee show whenever he was interviewed and stuff like that. And to me, whenever he talks, it's just like he's he's got this chip on his shoulder, and he wants to go out there and prove that he's not some old washed up coach. He could still coach with with the rest of them, and he wants to. It just seems like he wants to be a part of college football and recruiting and with NIL. Because I mean, let's just call a spade, Ballard. College football is pretty much starting to become all about money. Okay, you know. So with that being said, like he already knows a lot about the business part of the NFL and contracts being written out and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure he's very intelligent on the money side of things, which could help North Carolina out as far as their NIL goes and stuff like. I'm sure he can give some advice, or I'm sure he could help out as far as the money goes there at North Carolina in some capacity. I'm sure, right? He's done it for years in the NFL, but and then also he's been literally scouting college players for the NFL for many years. So he obviously knows what a great talented player is. I think he could do very well in the transfer portal. I think obviously I am of the belief that the quarterback situation, he's always going to have a great quarterback there in North Carolina, I do believe. And I think whenever he does go into recruiting and I mean, he don't really have to recruit too hard. To me, I mean, all he has to say is, "I'm Bill Belichick. Come play for me." I think the biggest uphill battle that Bill Belichick is going to climb in the in college football is how many years are you going to actually be at North Carolina? That's probably the biggest question these recruits are asking Bill Belichick. And, I know he can easily lie to them. Like, Nick Saban, lied to Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams said, "Hey, you're going to stay with me until I go pro." Saban said, "Of course I will." And then obviously that didn't happen, right? But he could go that route and lie to him to get them at North Carolina, or you can give them the real answer. "Hey, I'm in my 70s. I ain't got too much longer to coach." So that's what the reality is. I think that's probably going to be the biggest uphill battle for him as far as recruiting. I think he's going to do just fine. I don't think that they're going to recruit in the top 10 or anything like that, but I do think he'll do just as good, or if not a little bit better than what North Carolina has already done, right? And so as far as the playoffs and all that stuff, the ACC has been down in the last few years. And I do believe that Bill Belichick can bring in some great talent, and you got to give him at least 2 years. You got to give him at least 2 years or so to build his roster and stuff like that. But I do feel confident in saying that if he does stay long term within 5 years, you can see him in the ACC championship game and potentially make a college football playoffs. It wasn't too long ago that Mac Brown was having North Carolina win 9 and 10 games per year, and it seems like if you go 10-2 in the regular season, you have a great chance to make the college football playoffs. So, I do think Bill Belichick is still championship minded, and I think he's going to scout these college players and from the transfer portal. I think he'll have tremendous success in the transfer portal, especially. And then high school recruiting, I think he'll do great as well. He ain't going to be some recruiting monster or anything like that, but I think he'll do better in the transfer portal than recruiting, probably, most likely. But he'll do just as good as Mac Brown did in the recruiting phase. So I think he can get his team with the right people and the right players and stuff like that, right coaching staff. I do believe that he can have North Carolina in the conversation for the ACC title year in and year out. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I think so in a way too. I guess it's just for me, like, I don't know. It's weird because he was in the NFL for so long. But when you think about it, I mean, I know you got to admit he's a likable coach. He really is. And if if players are going to be drawn to what he's selling them, he's got a winning mentality to go out and try to compete for national championships. And I know it's kind of crazy to think that North Carolina is competing for championships and stuff like that, but it's Bill freaking Belichick. Give him a chance. I'm with you, man.
For sure. So we're going to talk about one more thing, and we're going to get into the final segment of this live stream. I think we've had a great live stream so far. Let's shout out to the chat. We haven't done that. Sorry about that, guys. We have Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, sup. Goose Sports and Traveling Fool says, yo, 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 yo. And then, so I appreciate them guys tuning in to the Touchdowns live stream. We've had some great conversation. I really do believe we have. I wanted to talk about some things, but I'll probably make some videos about this a little bit later whenever I could do more research. I want to talk about a little fun. I want to do like a little fun segment here and talk about the new college football 26. So, and then we're going to end it off previewing and predicting the Ohio State versus Notre Dame national championship game. We're going to end this live stream off with a bang. Okay. So let me get to. All right. So EA Sports College X account said, we said this place would be full again. Thanks to our players, athletes, and fans for filling the house with us. Let's keep that kickoff energy going till College Football 26 drops this summer. So it is confirmed 100% that we are getting a new college football video game this summer. And honestly, the biggest question is, well, I got two questions, and I'll ask you this question first. Who should be on the cover of College Football 26?
Seriously asking me that question?
Yeah.
I'm biased. Put him on there. Give me the GOAT. Nick Saban.
Okay. I think I'm not going to go with that option. I think if you was going to put Nick Saban on there, it should have been last year. But right now, according to On3, it looks like they have Arch Manning on there.
Arch Manning. Are you kidding? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I have the same reaction. Are you kidding? I literally have the same exact reaction. I don't know why they threw that up there, Arch Manning, but that's not the official. That's not the official cover, by the way. I'm just saying that they posted the picture with Arch Manning, right? I'm gonna be honest. I think they should do the same thing that they did this past season. They should put multiple guys as the cover. If you want to, you can put, I think personally Carson Beck should be the cover. And
Carson Beck.
we're gonna get to that conversation next. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I think Carson Beck should be on the cover of college football 26. And if you want to put some other guys on there, I guess you could put Arch Manning on there, I guess, because he is probably going to be a starting quarterback for Texas, as Quinn Ewers does put his name into the NFL draft. But yeah, like I mean, it's hard for me to. You gotta have Carson Beck, right? Carson Beck to be on the cover of College Football 26. That's my pick. That's my pick. I mean, don't really have anybody that really stands out to me that I'm thinking, yes, that's the guy. Because I mean, Carson Beck's going to be the best quarterback in college football next year. And yes, I know he's transferred over to Miami. I'm not one of them Georgia fans that are going to say, well, he was trash anyways. We need to get rid of him and yada, 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 blah, 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 right? Yeah, he's a great quarterback. He was. He was a victim of, I mean, he was a victim of the wide receivers at Georgia having the most drops in college football this past season. He was a victim of, like, his offensive line putting a paper plate in the 50-yard line and just turning on themselves. Like, he was a victim to that. And I feel like he did very well. And despite all that, he did very well. I think he set a record at Georgia for passing yards. I believe he had I still think he had over 3,000 passing yards. And with all the cards that he had dealt to him, he's going to be at Miami, and we all know how Miami's offense is absolutely elite. Okay, and he's going to be able to flourish there. And kudos to him. He's got $4 million, but I'm gonna keep it like that until we get to the topic. But talking about who should be on the cover of College Football 26, I think it should be Carson Beck himself. Also, the next question is, what do you want to see in College Football 26? I mean, I don't know how much you've played the game or of 25, but I have some thoughts. Do you have any?
I'm not sure what I want to see because I played a little bit of the 25 at my church's coffee shop a little bit, and it's not bad. I like it. It'd be hilarious as much as I hate it in real life. Could you imagine if they added field rushes and like tearing down goalposts and stuff?
That's actually a really good. That's
That would be
actually
hilarious to see in a video game. Like, could you imagine Tennessee beating Alabama and then going down to the field at Neyland? And
I would.
then the fans just jump all over the goalposts and they're like shaking and like trying to get it down.
Yeah, I actually think that's a great answer. There's a couple of answers that I would choose. Is on Dynasty mode.
Uh-huh.
I was playing the other day and I noticed that you cannot see your past season. Like, you can't see your stats from what you did the previous season. Like, you can't. So if you go to a different team, for example, I was at Washington State as a head coach, and then I went to Oregon State to be the head coach. I couldn't see my stats and what I was able to do, what I had accomplished at Washington State. I couldn't see that information. All I could see is what my head coaching record is. I couldn't really go back and see all that stuff like I was able to in NCAA 14. So I would like to see that as well. I also want to change the. I mean, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't like it. I want to change the um, the crowd noise thing, where if you're the away team, I feel like they need to dial it down a little bit with the crowd noise. I think they need to fix that just a little bit. There's no way that a quarterback completely forgets his whole entire play call just because the crowd is too loud at a team like West Virginia or something. I'm not trashing West Virginia, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that's really realistic. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think they need to dial that down a little bit. You still have it, but I think they could dial that down a little bit too. But this was just more of a silly conversation to kind of fill some time in. But um, yeah, let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll get into the Ohio State Notre Dame. Let's talk a little bit more. I want to know your thoughts on this. On Three Sports came out a few days ago and said that Georgia, number one, really wanted Carson Beck to stay for the 2025 season. And then the next team to offer Carson Beck was Alabama. So I want your thoughts.
I don't know why he's leaving anyway, other than, I mean, because it's weird because he declared for the draft, right? He had, I guess he had an okay season with Georgia. I mean, like he's a good quarterback, but he had to clean up his interceptions. Then he got hurt. So he had a good start, not the best of finishes. This is all weird to me, man. This is like I don't know how to really put it into words how weird it is. It's just like, how does the guy have the season that he had, have the numbers that he had, even though he's got a category of interceptions or something that kind of is that thorn in his side, like, but he declares for the draft, then he says, "Oh no, I'm going to transfer," and then he goes to Miami, which I guess is a pretty good landing spot. Um, Let me ask you this. In your opinion, Mayhem, where would he have gone in the draft? Would it have been day 2? Would he have not been drafted at all? Or what do you think?
So whenever he entered his name into the NFL draft, he was probably thinking he was a day one or day two guy, first round, second round guy. And probably whenever he talked to some guys about where he would probably land in the draft, I think his injury came up, and I think that was a huge factor probably. Also, he didn't play too well this season as far as the interceptions goes. But let's just be honest, Ballard. The NFL don't care nothing about that. The we seen and what I mean by that, take a look at Anthony Richardson. He only started the 13 games for the Florida Gators. That's it. And he was not that great of a quarterback in college. He wasn't. I mean, he was mid. He was a mid quarterback. He got drafted in the first round, Ballard, and he only started 13 games at the University of Florida. That's it. It's literally it. He went to the Underwear Olympics, and he was able to do all this gymnastic stuff and wow the NFL um, owners and stuff like that and coaches. And pretty much what I'm saying is NFL, they draft you based off of your potential. And we've seen from what Carson Beck has done the past couple seasons that Carson Beck has plenty of potential and he has first round potential. But I think the biggest problem was his injury. And are they willing to take a risk on drafting a guy day 1 or day 2 and he's injured, right? Because normally if you draft a quarterback in the first round, you're wanting that guy to be your franchise guy. You're wanting him to be the guy. And so he probably had some talks with some NFL guys and his agent and stuff like that. And the answer was he was probably going to be round 3 or early round 4. And Miami came a walking up to him and saying, "Hey, you should hit the portal. We're going to give you more money to play one season at Miami than what you would be getting if you went round 4 or round 3. We're going to give you $4 million to play at the U, and on top of that, we're going to your girlfriend is at Miami playing basketball right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you can spend a whole nother year with your girlfriend. You can clean up your stats a little bit. Miami's going to have the wide receivers that Georgia doesn't, which, by the way, they do now. But this past season, they kind of struggled. It was kind of a letdown season for the wide receiving core at Georgia. And that's coming from a Georgia fan. But, they probably did some negative recruiting with Georgia, I'm sure. And they said, "Hey, we got the wide receivers. We got the offense." And this is not really, to me, it is shocking. Don't get me wrong. It's shocking. It shocked me whenever I seen Carson Beck hit the transfer portal. I was shocked. And was it a surprise that he chose Miami? Of course not. And I think, Alabama. Now, my thoughts on Alabama being the first team outside of Georgia trying to get him to stay. Alabama was the first team to kind of reach out to him and say, "Hey, I want you to be here." Everybody knows that Carson Beck's the best quarterback in the country coming into 2025. Everybody knows that. And Kalen DeBoer knows that. Kalen DeBoer I feel like Kalen DeBoer knew Carson Beck wasn't going to Alabama. But remember, Ballard, Carson Beck was committed to Alabama whenever he was in high school. Remember that. Okay? So I'm sure that Alabama knew coming in that they probably wouldn't get Carson Beck, but they had to reach out their hand and see what they can get. I'm sure this is Kalen DeBoer's basically desperate move of trying to get a top tier quarterback, because right now, this might upset you. It might be the harsh truth, but Carson Beck's better than anything at Alabama right now. And that's just the truth. And like I said, right now, because they could get somebody that could end up better than Carson Beck. But as far as right now, it seemed like Kalen DeBoer just had to throw something out there, throw some bait for Carson Beck, make him think just a little bit longer. I don't really think Carson Beck was thinking about Alabama whenever Alabama reached out to him. I think it was Miami all the way. I don't think he was really thinking of any other schools, because 24 hours after he hit the transfer portal, or actually less than 24 hours, I believe, he was already committed to Miami. He had a no contact tag, which also means that no other schools can contact him. So once he had that no contact tag, it was pretty much official that he was going to Miami. He had already knew where he was going. And let's just call a spade a spade. He went for the money. He's from Florida, by the way. Let's not forget that. He is from Florida. And, he ultimately gets to be with his girlfriend, and he gets to have a great offense. And it seems like Miami's trying to do stuff defensively a little bit different. They've struggled massively on the defensive side. They've already fired their defensive coordinator. I believe another defensive, I think a linebackers coach went to another school. So they're kind of replacing some coaches there on the defensive side of the ball. So they're kind of cleaning house there on the defensive side. So, and I feel like you can't go any worse than what Miami had defensively this past season. So Miami's going to be a great team this coming season.
I agree. I don't know if they'd win a title, but they definitely compete for the playoffs again and try to get in this time. And who knows, maybe they finally win the ACC.
Yeah, and yeah. So let's talk our last topic, the main topic of this live stream. And then we're going to get on out of here because it is kind of late. It's almost midnight. So I want to talk about Ohio State versus Notre Dame. You want to go ahead and lead us into the preview here before we make our predictions?
Yeah, this will be quick too. Obviously, you guys know we have the national championship coming up Monday, January 20th, and it should be a good game. We're hoping for it. I'm kind of going back and forth on these two because I don't know. It's like Ohio State has looked like the best team in these playoffs, and Notre Dame has also looked like the best team in these playoffs. I really think we got the two best teams this year. And I know that Notre Dame did lose to Northern Illinois, but I think that was more so a bad day where they just didn't show up, even though Northern Illinois was a really good team. I don't know, man. I really don't know who to pick here. My gut says Notre Dame's going to pull it off, though. 8-point spread in favor of the Buckeyes. I could see this. I'd be shocked if this is not close. It's in Atlanta. Both teams got to travel far distance anyway, so it's not like, oh, well, it's going to favor so and so because of where it's at. It's favoring nobody. I mean, you could see a packed stadium. It'll be 50-50 with Ohio State fans and then the Irish fans. Like, I just. Who's had a better playoff run, though? Was it Ohio State who beat Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas? Or Notre Dame who beat Indiana, Georgia, and Penn State? I mean, that Georgia win's huge for Notre Dame. But then again, Ohio State had the defense to shut down Oregon's offense, who was probably the best all year. Texas, who was one of the best all year. And Nico Iamaleava in Tennessee in that first round. And in each of those games, or at least two of the three, they scored 40-plus points. Ohio State did. So this is going to be a really good game, down to the wire, going to be a challenge. It's an 8-point spread. I'm going to throw up my score prediction, though, and I'm going to say late in the game, Notre Dame seals it and pulls away. But I think it's going to be a closer game than what the score indicates. I do. I'm going to say by 11 points, Notre Dame wins 32-21.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have a lot of thoughts. Where do I begin, though? Yeah. So let's talk Notre Dame. Let's talk Notre Dame first. I got a lot of thoughts about this. So let's start Notre Dame. Their path. They beat Georgia, like you said. Now, well, first they beat Indiana, right? So, and that really wasn't a close game. It looked like a close game, but it really wasn't. Notre Dame dominated along the lines of scrimmage. It was never really close. And me and you, Ballard, we actually live streamed the game. That game, the score indicated that it was a close game, but Notre Dame just took their foot off the gas, and they're late in the second half, and Indiana scored a couple of garbage scores there, to make it look nice. I think the final score was 27-17 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But really, going into like the fourth quarter there, I think the score was like 27-3 or late in the third or something like that. It's 27-3. That was actually the final score. Notre Dame took their foot off the gas. Indiana just, I guess the moment was too big for them, and Notre Dame has an excellent defense. And I'm gonna say something that might shock you. It might not shock you. I don't think this is a hot take. I think some other guys feel this way, and gals probably feel this way as well. I don't like Notre Dame's offense. I don't. I feel like they're one dimensional. If you can stop their run game, you are going to stop Notre Dame. Now, I say that to say this. Let's talk about the Georgia game. I do believe that Georgia game was not. Give credit. All right, first, before I say this, give credit to Notre Dame. They won the game. They did everything right, while Georgia did everything wrong. Okay? I feel like there was right before halftime and right after halftime, and I feel like some other people probably agree with me in the chat or, on social media, that watching that game, it seemed like two pretty evenly matched teams for the most part. This is kind of where it got out of hand, was Kirby Smart trying to be aggressive right before halftime instead of just taking a knee and going into halftime down by only 3 points. What does he do? He gets too aggressive. He brings his quarterback that's never started a game in his college career, and Gunnar Stockton goes out there, gets kind of blindside hit, fumbles the ball as he was throwing. So it ain't like he fumbled, while he was trying to run or something. Like he was in a throwing motion, but he fumbled the ball, and Notre Dame gets the ball back inside the 10-yard line. Okay, so they pretty much pick up a free touchdown to go up by 10 points at halftime, all because of Kirby Smart wanted to be aggressive. Okay, then what happens, Ballard? Well, they go into halftime. Notre Dame gets the ball. But wait, they have a special teams touchdown. So then that puts them up by 17 points. And Georgia's offense was struggling, and it wasn't because of Gunnar Stockton. If you look at Gunnar Stockton's numbers, you would be surprised that he even got those numbers by the way that the wide receivers and the offensive line has been playing. He had 200-something yards passing, 0 interceptions, and a touchdown to Cash Jones, of all people. So, the offensive line played terribly for Georgia. Georgia couldn't, it felt like whenever Georgia got something going on offense, they shot themselves in the foot by penalties, especially the Parker Jones penalty. That was a 15-yard penalty, and he wasn't even playing in the game. So it's just that I will stand 10 toes down on this, Ballard. I will argue with anybody on the face of this planet. Georgia beat Georgia that day, and I am 100% standing 10 toes on that. I give credit to Notre Dame. I give credit to that coaching staff. That coaching staff outcoached Kirby Smart that particular day. Okay, he did. And whenever it mattered most, late in the fourth quarter, that last 4 minutes of the game, Notre Dame's offense was able to get some first downs and move the chains so Georgia couldn't come back to tie the game or win the game or whatever, right? So give credit to Notre Dame's coaching staff and give credit to Notre Dame's defense. They played amazing. That Notre Dame's defense all the way around is elite. And I don't throw that word elite around, okay? If you watch Mayhem Matthew at all, I just don't throw around that word elite. You know, people were trying to tell me that Tennessee's defense is elite, and I said, well, they're a very great defense. I'm not ready to say elite, and people were trying to tell me that I'm stupid, but whatever. I'm saying that Notre Dame's defense is elite.
Yeah.
And I feel like the coaching blunder that happened at Georgia and the poor tackling that we had on special teams ultimately led to the downfall of Georgia in that game. And it didn't help that Georgia's offensive line stunk up a turd. And it also didn't help that the wide receivers couldn't catch a wide open pass. And it also didn't help that Parker Jones wanted to come out and celebrate on the field and get a 15-yard penalty by almost tackling the referee. So, like, Georgia beat Georgia that day. And like I said, I'm giving credit to Notre Dame, and that's a great win. That's one of Notre Dame's best wins in the last 30 years. Also, Notre Dame beat Penn State. And I can say that Notre Dame played much better than what they did against Georgia. I feel like the matchup was more favorable for Notre Dame against Penn State than against Georgia. They still won both games, but I do feel like they played a much better game, and they took advantage of Penn State absolutely crapping down their leg. Why are you throwing the ball late in the game whenever you have a chance to go into overtime? I feel like if Penn State would have just went into overtime, they would have had a better chance to win the football game. But what do? You get Drew Aller out there, throw a pick, and allow Notre Dame to kick a game-winning field goal. So, Penn State went out the most Penn State way, the most James Franklin way. And, it seems like I keep on coming on here every single year and saying, this is the year for Penn State. This is the year for Penn State. This is the year for Penn State. I'm done saying that. I'm done. For the last 2 years, I came on this YouTube channel and I told you, Ballard, I've told whoever I can that Penn State, this is the year. This is the year. They finally get over the hump. I was even thinking this year that they were finally going to get over. I thought they were going to the national championship. I thought they were going to finally get over the hump. If it was Ohio State versus Penn State in the national championship, they were going to finally get over the hump. I told some people, I said, I think this is kind of like the Georgia versus Alabama whenever they met up in the championship in 2021. They got beat in the SEC championship, and then whenever they went to the national championship, they got their revenge 33-18. They finally got over the hump. I thought that this is what Penn State was going to do. I thought they were going to beat Notre Dame, go to the national championship against Ohio State, and I thought Penn State was going to finally get over the hump with Drew Aller and James Franklin, and James Franklin would silence all the doubters. But what does he do? He does the most James Franklin thing. And it's uncalled for. I don't know why you allow your offensive coordinator to call such a play. Why are you putting your quarterback in position to lose the game is beyond me. And yes, you do got to fault Drew Aller first of all, he threw it over the middle. You're not supposed to do that. They teach you not to do that. And he does it anyways. He gets picked off, and what do you know? Notre Dame wins. So, and give credit to Notre Dame's kicker, because I think coming into the game, Notre Dame was at an all-time. I think they missed like the most kicks in the country in college football this year. I think. So give credit to the kicker for making like 5 in a row between the Georgia game and the Notre Dame Penn State game. So give credit to Notre Dame's kicker for that. Other than that, that's kind of my thoughts on them two games. Heading into this game, now you asked the question: who's had a better run, Ohio State or Notre Dame? I think the answer is obvious. It's Penn State. I mean, sorry, my bad. The obvious answer is Ohio State. Now, the format of this 12-team playoff needs to be fixed because obviously, in my opinion, the best two teams in the country right now are not playing for the national championship. The best two teams in the country right now is Ohio State and Oregon. And I know what you're going to say in the comment section, and I know what you're going to say. Well, Oregon got beat down by Ohio State. Yes, they did. They were playing a angry, upset Ohio State with a chip on their shoulder that were told that they were going to get beat by Oregon. And I also have some feelings about, and I'll do this video another time. I'll do a separate video for this because I know we ain't got time to talk about this. But I also think that I want to pose a question for a different day. Maybe y'all can let me know down in the comments section how y'all feel about this. But every single team that had a first round bye lost. So getting a first round bye in this new 12-team format, is that a hindrance to these college football teams? So I haven't got my 100% thoughts on that, but I wonder if that bye week had anything to do with them losing that bad, because, and maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't have anything to do with it, but they had such a long break between the Big Ten championship and the second round of the playoffs. Ohio State did not. They were already kind of playing football in that first round, beat down Tennessee, then played Oregon. They had a lot of momentum going into that game, first of all, while Oregon did not have too much momentum because they had such a long break. And I'm not making excuses for Oregon. They should have won the game, and they just didn't execute, and everything went right for Ohio State. And I think Ohio State utilized Jeremiah Smith a lot more in the Oregon game than they did previously in the other games. Okay. So, give credit to Ohio State's coaching staff and give credit to Ryan Day. By the way, talk about that just a little bit here. But yeah, just give credit to them. Also, the Texas game, I was kind of surprised. Texas, I thought, was a mediocre team that kind of wobbled their way with the easy schedule, kind of hobbled their way and they kind of placed themselves into the college football playoffs. They barely skated by Arizona State. I still am of the belief that that was not a catch by Matthew Golden in the end zone. I think he did not have possession of the ball. I think a lot of people also think that as well. They did not review it at all. That was a 4th and 13. That would have ended the game. Arizona State would have been on to the next round in the semifinals. But that's not the point of what I'm talking about. The point is, Texas found a way to win, and Ohio State found a way to win versus Texas. I felt like Texas played their best game. I know they lost, but I feel like Texas played their best game against Ohio State. Texas locked down Jeremiah Smith in the second half. I think he only had like 4 yards total in the second half, or whatever. I don't know if it was the whole game or just the second half. He only had like 4 yards, right? That's ridiculous. They were triple teaming him in zone. right? So I say all this to say this: Ohio State has earned the opportunity to get here in the national championship. They look like the better team. They are the better team, and they're a very resilient team. They lost to Michigan. They had that chip on their shoulder, and they said, "We are actually the best team in the country. Let's go out and prove it." Whenever Ryan Day's seat got really hot, he turned it up, and his team got on fire, and his seat got colder because he's in the national championship. He ain't going nowhere, and he's probably going to win the national championship, and that's my pick. I think Ohio State wins this, and I don't think it's necessarily close. And I don't think it's going to be no 65-7 or anything like that. I don't believe that. But I will go ahead and make my prediction. I think I'm very confident in this answer. I'm going to say Ohio State wins this game 37-13. And that's my final answer on that. 37-13. Ohio State and
We're
Ryan Day.
completely opposites. Completely opposites tonight.
Yeah.
Because I got Notre Dame winning in a blowout. Well, not really a blowout, but they'll pull away. I got 32-31 Notre Dame.
Now, I also want talking about Notre Dame and Ohio State. By the way, that prediction is Ballard's prediction. My prediction is 37-13. Ohio State wins that game. It's coming Monday. We got some beef. We got some beef cooking up on social media. We got some beef. A couple of years ago, we seen Lou Holtz and Ryan Day kind of get into it. Lou Holtz was taking up for Notre Dame and talking a little bit of trash on social media or on podcasts and stuff like that, saying Notre Dame's going to beat Ohio State in the regular season a few years ago. And then what happens? Well, they play a very close game. I can't remember the final score. It's like 24-21 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And Ryan Day finds a reporter and says, I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now. I want to know where he's at. I want to know where's that guy at. This is a tough team. Ohio State, this is a tough team. We're resilient. This is a tough team. We're not soft. Because, Lou Holtz came on there and talked his trash saying that Ohio State and Ryan Day were soft. Oh, this is a tough team. We're not soft. Right? So now that Notre Dame and Ohio State are in the national championship, Lou Holtz has now got back on social media and he's starting this trash talk again. He's starting it again. But before we talk about that, a reporter has asked Ryan Day about Lou Holtz and said, "Hey, have y'all talked since that game? Have y'all talked and made amends? Have y'all talked and apologized to each other? And what happened?" And he only said one word. His answer was no, and he didn't say nothing else. Lou Holtz comes on social media. He says, Pat McAfee says, what if there's a Lou Holtz sighting at the national championship? And then he says, I know that he has a bad leg right now. He is an old man, right? Lou Holtz then quote tweets. Yeah, he quote tweets it, and he says, Notre Dame doesn't win is because we want to preserve Ryan Day's job. That is crazy. So already taking shots right now to Ryan Day. He says, I was originally going to be at the game in spirit, but now I will be dragging my body along as well. But wait, there's more. There's more. There's more.
Down.
He then comes on social media saying Ohio State has the talent, but Notre Dame has the heart, the culture, and the defense to win this game. Stay patient, run the football, and trust the process. Notre Dame wins this in a close one by 3. Remember, we're Notre Dame and they ain't it. Man, taking shots. Taking shots. Ohio State. And then he has a little video, a 4-minute video that I'm not gonna watch, but I did see a little clip of it, and he was talking about how Ryan Day doesn't deserve the credit for getting to the national championship. The credit deserves to go to Chip Kelly and the defensive coordinator. So taking more shots to Ryan Day. So this beef between Lou Holtz and Ryan Day is heating up once again. What's your thoughts?
And you brought energy with that one. It's late and you somehow brought energy. I have no energy. But I will say, I don't know. I say shut up and put it on the field is what I say, man. Honestly, like, made the better team win. Lou Holtz is, no longer coaching. He's a legend, and I love Lou Holtz. But at the same time, like, it's put up or shut up time. It really is.
For sure, and I think that's the mentality that Ryan Day is coming in with this. Whenever the reporter asked about Lou Holtz, and he just had that one word answer, no. He said no. That's all he said. He didn't say it twice. He didn't say it 3 times like I'm doing it. He said no, just one time. And the thing
I will
is,
say this, that the fact, like, what he said, though, about, like, oh, if Notre Dame doesn't win, it's because we want to preserve Ryan Jay's job. Like, where did that come from? Like, is he
exactly.
basically, is he saying it's rigged for Ohio State if Notre Dame somehow loses?
I mean, that's the way I took it, Ballard. I mean, is that how you're taking it as well?
I don't know how else to take it, honestly.
I mean, I think Ryan Day's job is pretty safe after making it to the national championship. I mean, whether he wins or not, I don't think has a big impact on if he gets fired or not. So, but Lou Holtz must think so because it says it's because we want to preserve Ryan Day's job. I mean, he must think that if he don't win the national championship, that he must be on the hot seat or something. I've never seen a head coach get fired after going to the national championship. I've never seen that type of stuff before. I mean, I've seen Kalen DeBoer move on to Alabama, a better program than Washington, but take a better job. But I've never seen anything like getting fired for making a national championship. That's just absurd. But I mean, he said he was originally going to be at the game in spirit, but now he's going to be dragging his body along as well. So I'm fired up about this, man. This gets me fired up. I mean, I was already fired up about the game anyways. Even though I do think Ohio State is going to run away with it, I think it's going to be close in the first half. It might be like a 7-3 matchup, and it's going to be a defensive battle in the first half. I think Ohio State's going to find some things in the second half and just kind of run away with it. 37-13 is my prediction. But yeah, man, Lou Holtz is getting on there. And then, I do want to say this, in that little 4-minute video that he made, he did say that he's not trying to trash Ohio State, but because he went to school at Kent State, which is located in Ohio, so he has respect for Ohio State and all that stuff. He is kind of trying to back up a little bit, but it seems like his beef is more for Ryan Day than it is Ohio State. That's just my kind of thoughts and feelings on this, because he also said that he does not give any credit. This man is not giving any credit whatsoever to Ryan Day. It's only going to the offense coordinator, and it's going to the defense coordinator, and that coaching staff. And you know, I disagree with Lou Holtz. I'm gonna give Ryan Day his credit. You know, I do. I will give him his credit if he wins this game, because Ryan Day, I feel like it's his destiny to win this national championship, and if he doesn't, it's just he'll go out the most Ryan Day way. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're ever going to find a more talented Ohio State team than you already have right now, currently. And I'm gonna give credit to Ryan Day, Ballard. I'm gonna give a ton of credit to Ryan Day, because Ryan Day, the whole entire narrative around Ohio State is that Ryan Day paid, or Ohio State paid, like 20 something $million for a roster and stuff like that. That's the whole narrative, right? But in reality, that is true that Ohio State did spend like 20 something $million. But the other reality is that they only got Caleb Downs, and then they got their quarterback, which is highly underrated, by the way. This guy has not been talked about at all coming into this national championship. It's all about Jack Sawyer. It's all about Jeremiah Smith. It's all about Emeka Ibuka. It's all about these great wide receivers and talent they got. It's all about everything else except for Will Howard. And I feel like Will Howard is really getting the disrespect end of the stick, because he's the one that's throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith. He's the one that's throwing the ball to Emeka Ibuka. He's the one who's handing off the ball to these running backs that they got, right? And Travion Henderson and that Ole Miss transfer. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. It's late, by the way, at the time of this live stream, so forgive me. But like, you know, I'm just saying, man, that I feel like it's Ryan Day's destiny, but like I was saying, is the whole narrative is that they spent $20 million to get all these players to Ohio State, but the actual reality is they got two players, and they actually paid their players to return to Ohio State. But the Ohio State, they paid their players that were already at Ohio State. They paid Emeka Ibuka. They paid Jeremiah Smith. They paid players that were already a part of the team. You know what I mean? They paid these players that were already there. Travion Henderson, right? Yeah, they went out and got the Ole Miss transfer running back, but outside of them, like three guys, Jack Sawyer was already on the team, right? All these guys, all these really talented guys were already a part of Ohio State. Okay. So he paid 20 something $million to retain these guys, not to go out to the transfer portal and just grab a bunch of guys and make a national championship roster. That's not true. The truth is, Ryan Day was able to retain a lot of players from last year, and he had a lot coming back from the last season, and he grabbed a couple key players. And I feel like I said, I feel like it's Ryan Day's destiny to win this game. I don't have a dog in the fight. My dog died a couple rounds ago. Okay, so you know, with that being said, I honestly would hope that Notre Dame wins. I'd love to see Lou Holtz get on social media and just give Ryan Day one of these slobber knockers. All right, honestly, that would be hilarious for my entertainment, and also it would be hilarious to get on YouTube and say, "Oh, State, you still can't win with the most talented team in college football." So With that being said, guys, we're gonna get off of here today. Great show, great entertainment, great to do this show with Ballard whenever we can. I know we haven't done it in a while, but it was Ballard's idea to do it tonight, and I am so glad that he decided to do it tonight. I feel like we had a great show. You know, we had some more guys come in to the chat. We had Neo, we had Nate the Great. Also, shout out to Goose Sports, Traveling Fools, and Daniel Berry Highlights for also tuning in as well. So, with that being said, we had a great show tonight, and
Yep.
I did have. I know you probably didn't realize this, but I'm gonna tell y'all we was a little bit late to the show because I had some technical difficulties. My computer wouldn't work, and so I ended up I'm doing the live show from my phone right now. I got my computer right here. I've been looking up some stuff on my computer and stuff, but the audio and stuff like it wouldn't work. Okay, so I apologize for that. We will start on time next time, and we will see y'all on the next one, on the next go around, and hopefully next time I can actually have my equipment that I normally have and sound a little bit better for y'all. But as long as we get the content out, that's all that matters to me. So with that being said, dogs, and have a good one.
All I got to say is love this show. Mayhem, appreciate you, brother. Love all you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. And Will Anderson, an Alabama fan, said, see y'all.